If I'm being completely honest with you, there's one thing most men don't realize. Women are not as complicated as you think. We're emotional, yes. We're selective, yes. But deep down, we all respond to certain words, certain tones, and certain signals from a man. And here's the truth you probably haven't heard before. It's not about pickup lines, it's not about pretending to be someone you're not, and it's definitely not about saying something smooth just to trick us. It's about tapping into the emotional language that actually moves a woman. If you say this the right way, no woman, and I mean no woman, will be able to resist you. Now, before you get excited, let me be clear. This isn't some magic sentence you can copy-paste, and suddenly every woman falls at your feet. That's not how attraction works. But there are things you can say that cut straight through all of a woman's defenses, things that make her stop, feel something, and actually look at you differently. Most men never learn this because they focus too much on logic, when women are wired to respond emotionally. Think about it. When was the last time you said something to a woman and you could feel her walls drop instantly? Probably rare, right? Because most men don't know how to speak to that side of us. But I'm going to pull back the curtain and tell you exactly what works. Not the fake, cheesy lines, but the real words that actually unlock desire, respect, and attraction in a woman. By the end of this, you're going to understand how a woman feels when you say the right things, and why most men get it wrong. And if you pay attention, you'll never look at conversations with women the same way again. 1. Stop talking logic. Start speaking to her emotions. Here's the first thing you need to understand. Women don't fall for logic. We fall for feelings, and this is where most men get it wrong. You think if you explain yourself, if you sound smart, if you list out all the reasons why you're a good guy, then we'll suddenly realize you're worth it. But that doesn't work on us. Attraction doesn't grow in our heads. It grows in our hearts and our bodies. When you talk to a woman, if all you're doing is explaining or trying to convince her logically, you're already losing her. It sounds like an interview. It feels like a business deal. And trust me, no woman wants to feel like she's signing a contract when she's getting to know you. What we want is to feel something. Excitement, curiosity, safety, desire, even tension. Let me give you a picture of how this plays out. A man approaches a woman at a cafe. He starts talking about his job, how stable he is, how much he earns, why he would make a good partner. He's ticking all the logical boxes. And yes, she might nod, smile politely, even say, "Wow, that's impressive." But inside, she's already checked out. She's thinking about how to end the conversation without being rude. Now imagine instead, he looks at her with calm confidence, smiles and says, "You've got this look on your face like you're plotting something. What are you up to?" Do you see the difference? He didn't list facts. He didn't pitch himself. He spoke to her emotions. Suddenly, she's intrigued. She feels playful. She's pulled into a moment where her imagination is involved. That's the language women respond to. It's not about being fake or manipulative. It's about understanding that women connect emotionally first. If you want to stand out, stop trying to impress us with logic and start creating a feeling. Tease us. Challenge us. Notice something unique about us. Make us feel like the moment is alive, not like we're sitting through a presentation. When you master this, you stop blending in with every other guy who's trying too hard. Because most men sound the same, but the man who makes us feel something, he's unforgettable. So remember this. Attraction isn't built on explaining. It's built on emotions. And if you can tap into that, you'll have every woman leaning in, wanting more. 2. The words that trigger her curiosity. Instantly. If there's one thing women can't resist, it's curiosity. We are naturally drawn to mystery. Not the kind that's vague or confusing, but the kind that makes us want to know more about you. And the truth is, most men kill curiosity within the first 5 minutes of talking to a woman. You either overshare, trying to prove yourself, or you're too flat, giving us nothing to lean into. Here's what you need to know. When you say something that hints at more, without giving it all away, you light up a part of a woman's mind that makes her lean in. It's like you open a door but don't invite her all the way inside. And that little gap makes her want to step closer on her own. Now, I don't mean you should play games or be secretive just for the sake of it. That's not attractive. That's frustrating. What I mean is, learn the art of saying just enough that it sparks a question in her mind. For example, if she asks you what you've been up to lately and you say, I've been working on something that keeps me busy. I'll tell you about it later. You've just planted curiosity. You didn't give her the full story, but you gave her enough to want the rest. Curiosity works because it engages our imagination. And once a woman's imagination is involved, she's no longer just listening to you. She's thinking about you. She's wondering. And that's when attraction deepens. Another powerful way to spark curiosity is with playful observations. Instead of giving a plain compliment like, "You look nice," say something like, "You've got this little sparkle in your eyes tonight. What are you hiding?" Notice how that feels? It's not a compliment she's heard 1,000 times. It's unique, it's personal, and it leaves her wondering how you see her in a way other men don't. The biggest mistake men make is giving everything away too soon. You think being an open book will make us trust you faster, but it actually kills mystery. Attraction thrives in the unknown. When you leave little gaps, when you hold back just enough, you're telling us, if you want to know more, you'll have to stay close. And believe me, women respond to that. So here's the truth. The words that trigger a woman's curiosity are the ones that invite her to imagine, to lean in, to ask for more. If you can master this, you'll stand out instantly. Because women don't want to be told everything up front. We want the thrill of discovery. Remember, curiosity is not about hiding. It's about creating anticipation. And when a woman feels anticipation around you, resisting you becomes almost impossible. 3. Why vulnerability done right makes you irresistible. Here's the truth most men don't realize. Women love strength, but we also crave vulnerability, the right kind of vulnerability. And let me be clear here, because this is where a lot of guys get it wrong. Vulnerability doesn't mean dumping your emotions on us, complaining about your problems, or constantly needing reassurance. That kind of vulnerability feels heavy, and it pushes women away. What we find irresistible is when a man can open up just enough to show us he's human, but still grounded in his strength. That balance is magnetic. Think about it. Most men try so hard to project an image of being completely unshakable, like nothing ever bothers them. And while confidence is attractive, too much of that "I'm a rock, nothing ever touches me" attitude feels fake. Women can sense when you're hiding behind an act. But when a man has the courage to show a piece of his true self, maybe he admits that he's nervous before a big opportunity, or he shares a story about a time he struggled but grew stronger, it hits us differently. We feel closer to you. We feel like we're seeing the real man, not just the polished version you want us to see. The key is how you present it. Vulnerability done wrong looks like emotional dumping. Vulnerability done right looks like honesty paired with self-control. You're not making us responsible for your feelings, you're simply letting us glimpse your truth. And that's powerful. Here's what happens when you show that side of yourself. A woman feels safe to open up to you too. Because attraction isn't just about desire, it's about connection. If we feel like you can't let your guard down even a little, we'll never fully let ours down either. But if you show us that strength and softness can exist in the same man, we can't help but feel drawn to you. And I'll tell you something important. Vulnerability creates contrast. When a man who is usually confident, playful, and strong suddenly shares something real, even just for a moment, it has so much impact. It's unexpected. It lingers in our minds. We remember it. So don't be afraid of letting a woman see that side of you. Not all the time, not in a way that feels like a burden, but in those rare moments where you pull back the mask and let us see the truth. Because when you do, you're not just attractive, you're unforgettable. 4. Confidence in your words is more attractive than looks. Let me say something that might surprise you. Women don't actually judge men the way men think we do. You assume we're all about looks, height, muscles, or how much money you have. But if you pay attention, you'll notice plenty of women are with men who aren't perfect on paper. Why? Because confidence in the way a man speaks is more attractive than any physical trait. Confidence isn't about being loud, cocky, or trying to dominate a conversation. Real confidence is in the way you carry your words. It's the calmness in your tone, the steadiness in how you express yourself, and the lack of hesitation when you speak. When a man owns his words, it makes us listen differently. Here's the thing. Women pick up on subtle cues. If you're second-guessing yourself, if you're overly careful, if your words trail off like you're waiting for our approval, we feel it instantly. And it doesn't make us lean in, it makes us tune out. On the other hand, when you say something with certainty, without needing us to validate it, you become magnetic. For example, imagine two men telling a woman about their plans for the weekend. One says, I was thinking maybe of going to this place, but I don't know. It might be boring. The other says, I'm heading out Saturday night. It's this little spot I really like. Good energy there. You'd enjoy it. Which man do you think she feels more drawn to? The second one. Not because of what he said, but because of how he said it. Confidence in your words tells us so much about you without you even realizing it. It tells us you trust yourself. It tells us you don't need external approval. It tells us that if we're around you, we can relax because you're steady. And women crave that. Now, let's clear up a myth. Confidence is not about perfection. You don't need to have the perfect line or flawless delivery. Sometimes confidence looks like saying something simple, but standing behind it fully. Even silence, when carried with self-assurance, can be more attractive than scrambling to fill the air with nervous chatter. Attraction isn't about being the most handsome man in the room. It's about being the man who knows what he's saying, doesn't apologize for existing, and carries himself with certainty. That energy makes us feel secure, intrigued, and drawn in, all without you needing to be a model type. So, remember this. The way you speak is just as important, if not more important, than what you say. If you can own your words with confidence, you'll stand out from almost every other man she meets. 5. How to create tension that pulls her closer. Here's something you need to understand about women. Attraction isn't just about comfort, it's about tension. And when I say tension, I don't mean arguments or drama. I'm talking about that electric pull between two people. The kind of energy that makes a woman's heart race a little faster and keeps her thinking about you long after you're gone. Most men either go too soft or too aggressive. On one side, you've got the nice guy who's overly accommodating, making sure the woman is always comfortable. He thinks that by removing all tension, he'll win her over. But what really happens is she feels safe and bored. On the other side, you've got the guy who pushes too hard, tries to dominate, and comes across as arrogant. That kind of tension isn't attractive. It's exhausting. The real sweet spot is when you create playful, subtle tension. That's what pulls us closer. It's the teasing comment that makes us laugh, but also wonder if you're serious. It's the long pause where your eyes meet and neither of you rushes to break it. It's the way you say something that hints at interest but doesn't fully give it away. Picture this. You're sitting across from a woman on a date. She leans in and asks you something personal, maybe about your love life. Instead of giving a straightforward answer, you smile and say, "That's a dangerous question. I'm not sure you're ready for the answer." And then you pause. Do you feel the energy in that moment? You didn't give her a clear yes or no. You left space. And in that space, tension grows. That's the kind of thing women remember. It's not about being manipulative. It's about understanding that attraction lives in the in-between moments. The uncertainty, the anticipation, the playfulness. When you know how to hold back just enough, you make her want to lean in. The mistake most men make is trying to remove all tension because they fear rejection. But tension is exactly what makes a woman feel alive around you. It's what separates you from the guys who are too predictable. So here's the truth. If you want a woman to feel drawn to you, learn to create that spark of tension. Tease without being cruel. Hold eye contact a second longer than usual. Say something bold, then smile like you're daring her to challenge you. Those small moments change everything, because in the end, women don't crave perfection. We crave that intoxicating mix of comfort and tension that makes being around you exciting. And once she feels that with you, resisting becomes the last thing on her mind. 6. The silent power behind saying less. One of the most overlooked truths about attraction is this. Sometimes saying less is far more powerful than trying to say everything. Men often think the way to impress a woman is by talking more, proving themselves, or filling every quiet moment with words. But here's the reality. Silence, when paired with presence, is incredibly attractive. Why? Because silence shows control. It shows you're not desperate to keep her entertained, you're not scrambling for her approval, and you're comfortable in your own skin. Most men fear silence because they think it means they're losing her interest. But women don't experience it that way. In fact, the right kind of silence makes us feel your strength more than any words could. Think about it from our perspective. When a man can sit with us in a moment without rushing to fill the space, it tells us he's steady. He's not nervous. He's not begging for validation. He's simply there, confident enough to let things breathe. That's rare, and that's magnetic. Now, this doesn't mean you should be cold or detached. The key is balance. Too much silence can feel distant, but intentional silence, a pause before you answer, holding eye contact instead of instantly reacting, letting your words sink in instead of rushing to the next point, that creates presence. And presence is what women respond to. Here's another truth. When you say less, your words carry more weight. If you talk endlessly, most of what you say gets lost in the noise. But if you're selective with your words, if you let your statements hang in the air for a moment, we notice, we remember, and we respect it. Women also test men with silence, whether we realize it or not. Sometimes we'll go quiet just to see how you handle it. If you panic, rush, or overcompensate, it tells us you're insecure. But if you stay calm, grounded, and unbothered, it tells us you're confident. That's when we lean in, because we sense strength. The silent power of saying less also prevents you from over-explaining. Many men talk themselves out of attraction by trying too hard to justify, explain, or prove. But mystery dies when you give everything away. A man who speaks with precision, who doesn't waste words, keeps us guessing. And curiosity, as you already know, is irresistible. So remember this. Silence is not weakness. It's not a lack of connection. When used well, it's a display of composure, confidence, and presence. And in a world where most men try too hard, the man who says less, but means every word, stands out the most. 7. If you can't do this, no words will ever work. Let me give it to you straight. It doesn't matter what clever words you learn, what techniques you try, or how many tricks you think you can use. If you don't respect yourself, nothing will work. A lot of men want to know the right things to say to women, but they forget the foundation. If your words don't match the man you are, women will feel the disconnect instantly. You can say all the right sentences, but if you're insecure, desperate, or putting us on a pedestal, we won't buy into it. We might smile, we might entertain the conversation, but deep down, we won't feel the attraction. Here's the hard truth. Women are wired to sense when a man values himself and when he doesn't. And no matter how good your words sound, if you don't carry self-respect, it will show. Think about it. Have you ever seen a guy who wasn't particularly good-looking, wasn't the tallest, didn't have the flashiest lifestyle, yet women still paid attention to him? It wasn't luck. It wasn't magic. It was because he owned who he was. His words carried weight because they came from a place of confidence and self-respect. On the flip side, there are men who try way too hard. They flatter women endlessly, they over-explain themselves, they bend their entire personality to keep a woman interested. And while their words might sound nice, they actually kill attraction. Why? Because women don't want a man who seeks approval. We want a man who already knows his worth, with or without us. This is where many men need to wake up. You don't need to impress us. You don't need to beg for our attention. You don't need to memorize lines. What you need is to build yourself up first, your confidence, your mindset, your self-respect. When you do that, your words naturally carry more power. You won't even need to say much, because women will feel it. So let me be real with you. If you can't back your words with genuine self-respect, they'll never land the way you want them to. But when you can, when you speak from a place of strength and certainty, that's when no woman can resist. Stop chasing approval. Stop overcompensating. Start owning yourself. Because the man who respects himself doesn't have to force attraction. He creates it effortlessly. Here's the truth I want you to walk away with. No sentence, no magic line, and no secret phrase will work on a woman if you don't understand the foundation. Attraction isn't logical, it's emotional. Women don't fall for facts, lists, or empty compliments. We respond to how you make us feel, and this is where most men fail. They try too hard to impress instead of connecting. They talk too much instead of creating presence. They hide behind confidence that's fake, or they overshare in ways that feel heavy. But when you get this right, when you can balance playfulness with strength, mystery with honesty, confidence with a touch of vulnerability, you become unforgettable. Let me say something bold. If you learn how to do this, no woman will resist you. Not because you're tricking us, not because you're manipulating us, but because you'll finally be speaking in the language women are wired to respond to. And very few men ever master that. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever said something to a woman that completely changed the way she looked at you? Or maybe you realized later that your words killed the attraction. Share your experiences in the comments. I'll be checking in and replying because I want to hear your stories. At the end of the day, this isn't about lines. It's about becoming the kind of man whose words naturally carry weight. And that, more than anything, is what no woman can resist.